Hello, all my loyal fans! All 2 or 3 of you. Anyway, hi! It's time for another episode of Wednesdays with Kitty! Insert dramatic music here, which I actually would if I had some and or knew how to do that, but I don't, so deal. This week's topic is surgery. Surgery. So I'm gonna start talking about it. Aiden hasn't had surgery. Ta-da! I'm done. No, I'm kidding. He definitely, of course, wants top surgery. I think that's probably pretty standard for most trans men. There may be some who don't want it, especially if they're small-chested to begin with. Aiden is not, and he really wants top surgery, so that's kind of like the thing that we're saving for. When it comes to bottom surgery, he loves to research. He researches everything all the time. Which is fantastic. He educates himself about everything. He learns the ins and outs and ups and downs and all kinds of things. He's been doing research, and he has decided at first he wasn't sure that he'd ever want bottom surgery at all. Then he kind of started thinking about it and looking into it and so on and so forth, and now I'm pretty sure he's definitely decided that he wants metoidioplasty. He wants to go to Dr. Miro in Serbia, if any of you have heard of him. I think I have the name right, but anyway, he's in Serbia. And we're hoping to get that done within the next 10 years. That's not nearly as essential for him as the top surgery, because nobody except me sees his junk. So that's not as big of a deal, to pass and stuff like that. I'm looking over here because I'm looking at the computer screen to see what other questions I need to answer. How do I feel about him having surgery? I'm all for it. Top surgery, bottom surgery, whatever he needs to do to make himself comfortable with himself and make himself happy, I'm behind him 110%. I don't have any issues with it. I might get a little grossed out, after he has surgery and has, drains and things. That might kind of gross me out, but I can handle it. He just had abdominal surgery, and even though it wasn't, major, he didn't have drains, I can deal with stuff. Even if it's a little gross. So, but again, good for him. I support him. I will do everything I can to help him save the money that he needs to save. And, when he goes for his top surgery, we're looking at going to Dr. Garamoni in Florida, which we live in Pennsylvania, so that's quite a ways away. I'm going to try really hard to save up my vacation time at work so I can take, a couple of weeks off. I can't imagine not being there. I mean, I'll get there with him one way or the other, but, we're trying to save money and all that stuff, and I think I'm kind of off topic now. How do I feel about bottom surgery specifically? Once again, if that's what a person needs to make themselves comfortable with themselves, more power to them. It's not something, I'm not trans, so it's hard for me to understand that feeling of dysphoria, but even though I can't really empathize, I can still sympathize. It's if I had some kind of, horrible deformity growing out of my shoulder, and I wanted, if I felt so bad about myself because of it, and I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, I needed to have it removed, well, I'd have it removed. It's the same kind of thing to me. It's if you're not comfortable with yourself, and there's something you can do about it, do it. I probably shouldn't talk about that, because I'm not comfortable with myself because I need to lose weight. And what am I doing about that? Absolutely nothing at the moment. But that's not the point. Yeah, I support bottom surgery if a person wants it. I'm glad that it's not required for trans men. You can get your gender marker changed without having bottom surgery. I think that's a good thing, because I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't really want to go with all that. And that's fine. However you're comfortable. I think I'm starting to repeat myself now, too. How important do you feel surgery is to one's transition? It all depends on how the person feels. If it's going to help a person feel better about who they are, and if it's going to help them match the inside with the outside, then great. If it doesn't really bother them that much, if they can be in a female body, a purely female body, and still be like, hey, I'm a dude, then good for them. It's all a matter of personal preference, I guess, is what I think. What other options are there for people who do not desire surgery or who may not be able to afford it? I'm assuming that means that, okay, well, first off, people who don't desire it. Well, either A, you're already comfortable with your body, in which case you don't have to worry about it, because like I said, you know, if you can be in a purely female body and be like, hey, I'm a dude, then good for you. You don't need any other options if you're already comfortable. I mean, you can bind if you want to, but that's kind of that. People who can't afford it, what other options are there? Well, hopefully at some point, if you want it, hopefully at some point you will be able to afford it. Whether, you know, even if it takes you 20 years, you know, it's something. You can get there, hopefully. Other than that, I mean, like, with the top, again, you can bind. That's not necessarily good for your body to bind, like, really tightly for long, extended periods of time. But as, like, a, I don't know, quick fix, jerry-rigged sort of option, you know, that works. Especially for the smaller-chested trans men. Larger-chested ones may have trouble with that, as I see that all the time with Aiden. He has a hard time with it. He's got to bind so tight, and then it's not comfortable, and he can't stand to stay bound more than a few hours, usually, so... I think I'm done answering that question now. How available are surgeons who perform FTM surgeries in your area? There's one in New Hope, Pennsylvania, Dr. McGinn, who is a trans woman, which is kind of cool, I think. Other than that, Aiden hasn't mentioned any, and I'm really horrible at doing research because he always does it all, so I don't really know. But I don't think there really are any in this area. I've heard of Garamoni in Florida, Brownstein, I think, in California, Raphael also in California? I can't keep these guys straight. And the guy in Serbia for bottom surgery, although I think he also does top surgery, which is neither here nor there. Yeah, we live in a very conservative part of Pennsylvania, so trans anything is kind of hard to find. We had our first Pride last year. Seriously. And the last question, I do not know of any surgeons in the area who perform FTM surgeries except for Dr. McGinn in New Hope. I think that's about it. This is probably my longest video yet. I know you're all so excited. This probably came up and you're seeing like, oh my god, this is over 7 minutes long. Hooray! But yeah, it is. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I made a long video. So there. If you don't like it, don't watch it. I'm just being silly. I believe that actually is all I have to say about surgery. And so, signing off. See you again next week. And I just knocked the camera so it jiggled. Sorry. Have a good week.